Hello, gamers. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct happened like yesterday, a couple days ago. I don't know. To everyone's surprise, From Software revealed a new game, the Duskbloods. The trailer started with like a guy in a chair, a moon in the window, some talk about blood. From Software showed up on the screen. And many a gamers around the world gasped, cried, tears of joy, ran down their cheeks because could this be Bloodborne 2? Perhaps a spiritual successor to Bloodborne. Definitely looked very Bloodborne-y. And then we learned it was a multiplayer focused game, maybe not too dissimilar from the recently announced Elden Ring Night Reign, which is also multiplayer focused. That kind of dampened the mood, I imagine, for a lot of people looking forward to a new single-player Bloodborne-esque From Software game. So it's an exclusive to Switch too, but at least it's not like a mainline, full-blown, single-player focused, traditional Soulsborne From Software game. It's just a little bite, a little bit of a side dish, like Night Reign. So maybe you don't have to get into the Switch 2 ecosystem, especially if you're not into the multiplayer stuff. Me, I like some multiplayer stuff. I like it all, really. I like it. I mean, that's why I like Elden Ring, because it has multiplayer, it has co-op, it has PvP, it has single player, it has all that mixed in. Or create your character, RPG, cool lore story. It's got it all. That's why we like it. Now, Night Reign is a co-op multiplayer focused game. This one is PvPvE. This game seems to be kind of like what I wish Night Reign was, almost. Like, I'm gonna have fun with Night Reign because I like co-oping as well, but the idea of like having the option to co-op or to PvP is very much enticing to me. The Bloodborne atmosphere aesthetic is cool. I like vampires. This is a vampire game, pretty much. Miyazaki describes it as. This interview here goes into some more detail. One interesting thing also that's a little bit perhaps an improvement from Night Reign is that there seems to be like different maps that are corresponding to different time frames. The idea is that you're competing to get to the first blood, the twilight of humanity, basically the end of civilization or of sorts. So he says there are traditional Gothic or Victorian style maps, as well as those depicting the closing years of the early modern period. The early modern period is a historical period that defined either as part of or as immediately preceding the modern period. The 16th century to the start of the 19th century. I imagine it's going to be like each map is going to be smaller than the Night Reign map. It's not clear if there's going to be like a circle, like a battle royale circle that's going to shrink. I kind of hope it doesn't. I'm kind of hoping it's just objective based. And he does say that it's generally like a last player standing situation, but that there's going to be different objectives. The cool thing is that you can choose different roles. So you can choose to have a destined rival where your objective is to find a particular player and defeat them, or you can choose to have a destined companion, which means you're on the lookout for a particular buddy to bond with. Depending on how you roleplay, you can choose to help people out, to partner up, or to become villains. So it's kind of similar maybe to the Covenant system we saw in the earlier Dark Souls games. So there's going to be different roles for people who maybe don't want to participate too much in the PvP. Maybe they can, do more PvE related objectives. The win conditions are dependent on victory points. So you can earn victory points in a number of different ways. There's also going to be a summoning system where you can summon entities, it says. We didn't see any like summoned creatures. We did see a moment here where one of the characters looks to be summoning another character. Is this character here a spirit summon equivalent? We can't control that character, which is unfortunate because I would like to control that character because she looks pretty cool. This is her again right here. It looks like maybe any character can summon her, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that like you can also play as her if you want. He also mentioned that each character has a range option. I imagine there's even more gunplay than Bloodborne, and Bloodborne was only used for parries. Like this character is using this machine gun. Like, that seems deadly. And then we have the the rifle guy here, and then she doesn't have to have a long range, but then, you know, other characters we see don't really have guns either, so maybe there's different long range options. Like maybe she throws her chakram and that's her long range weapon. Yeah, and by the way, it seems that there's going to be more than 12 characters you can choose from, heroes you can play as, so there's not going to be like a create your own character situation. Apparently there's going to be some customization where you can, I guess, earn rewards to customize abilities, as well as probably perks and also some cosmetic customization as well. This could be more similar to an extraction game, you know, where you're competing with other players to find and get rewards for your next match. Here's a new character that we didn't see in the trailer. These very Victorian looking characters. I think it's actually part of her hat or something in the background, that little flap, maybe. I don't know. Pretty cool. These look like Bloodborne enemies. This is going to be a firekeeper, a cute little character, a rat with wings. Yeah, so there's going to be a hub area, kind of like Night Rain pretty much. Supports up to 8 players. And so you do get rewards whether you win or lose. He says these leaving fragments of lore and world-building details, allowing the players the fun of using their imagination to make connections. Blood is a big theme, he says. Blood symbolizes one of the game's key themes, the histories it holds, the power it passes on, the fates it weaves, and the marker of those who have surpassed the limitations of their own humanity. So, you know, similar to how Blood Echoes work in Bloodborne or Souls, and the Souls games runes, you know, they're remnants of the past, remnants of past souls. You know, the memories carry on through the blood. Typical From Software lore there, that's pretty evocative. This is probably more in line with my taste than Elden Ring Night Rain, just because I like the option of having that PvP element. Obviously, I wish this was cross-platform. Also, you gotta think about, like, would this game have even been made if it wasn't for Nintendo chipping in and deciding to publish it, you know? It seems like this could be destined to be another gothic action game from Software that's going to be forever stuck on one system, you know? Like Bloodborne is on the PlayStation, and now we got the Duskbloods on the Switch, you know? But again, it's not a full-blown single-player focused adventure. Miyazaki does come out and say that, like, yeah, they've been doing these multiplayer games recently. He wants to make it clear that they still want to make single-player focused games. This is a little bit of some experimental stuff they're doing, right? In between their big stuff. So it allows them to kind of just, like, try out different things, maybe improve their multiplayer functions for their bigger games, right? You know, like something I didn't realize until looking at this right now, like there's actually one of the characters is actually up here jumping. Like, look at that. That's a big jump. That's like a triple jump. Like, how do you get up there? The rocket pack guy's pretty cool. I wonder how freeing it's gonna be. Like how if there's any limitations to how far we can fly, you know. Looks like it's a pretty long distance, but you might not be able to direct, you know. It might not be like a Superman thing. It might just be like a launch pad situation. I think this might be, could this be the guy that turns into the dinosaur? Also, we have what people have been calling out, this is like Lady Maria pretty much on a headless horse. So could be mounts, you know, firefighter. It could be just that only this character gets a mount. Okay, so it looks like the pants are the same. Yeah, this is the same character. And his cane is on the side here this time. Okay, this is the same clothing as that character. His head is like tilted back, and that's the underside of his chin. You know, maybe this is the collar here. And then he has the ability to transform into a dinosaur. And he eats up the other character we saw with the chakram, the circular blade. This character looks like, I think, might just be an enemy. Unless we could do a singing emote. This would be cool if we could do singing emotes. I imagine that's how we're going to communicate with just emotes and gestures. I really wish they would just give us a list of all the characters, but that's what they do. Even with Night Rain, they trickle out, you know, every few months, new bits of pieces. This is a world event situation. The big angel in the sky. Like there could be, you know, new objectives to do. You know, maybe everyone has to team up to beat the boss, and friendly fire is eliminated or something is disabled or something. I don't know. Who knows? It could be fun stuff, but that definitely looks cool. Oh wait, this is the dinosaur guy. This is the dinosaur guy. It's the same guy here. It's just this is low resolution, but that's the same guy, same outfit, the same collar, the cane, the cuffs here. He's gonna be a dinosaur. He's gonna be the dinosaur guy. I don't know. It looks cool. The train does feel a little bit off because it's like, what, a train in this gothic setting? It looks like a future train, but it's actually more maybe more of a steampunk train, just the lighting and everything. But it's going to be a mix of times, you know, a mix of times. When was the first electric train? When did that come out? Oh, look, first electric train. Oh, fucking AI shit. The first known electric locomotive was built in 1837. Here's one from 1879. It's definitely within the time frame they've been talking about. Okay, a lot of lore implications here. They're praying to the blood moon here. Cool stuff. I mean, the atmosphere, the aesthetic is just so cool. I mean, how can you not be into this? I wonder if like all the characters are gonna suck blood. So I wonder if like instead of healing through a flask, the only way to heal is to like, you know, suck the blood of enemies and maybe other players. That would be rad. I would like that, you know. This is a cool character too. You know, people are calling him Tom Hiddleston, you know, the Loki guy. Really nice outfit, of course. Can't wait to play with the fashion in this game. Okay, so this guy definitely looks like a Bloodborne boss mixed with Blythe from Elden Ring. And then here is interesting thing. We've got a shield. It looks like a force field that the player character is holding up with their gun here. Then it breaks when it gets attacked. He gets a guard broken. So that could be a shield. So unlike Bloodborne, maybe shielding is actually part of the kit here. Maybe slightly encouraged depending on the character. Maybe. Damn, I wish freaking this was the one that was available cross-platform, and then it was Night Rain would be exclusive to Switch, but of course it wouldn't make sense because Elden Ring is cross-platform, so obviously it would Night Rain, which is an Elden Ring game, would be multi-platform. You know, it's kind of weird that they announced this so right before even Night Rain release, because it kind of takes the win out of their sales a little bit. You know, I'm gonna still have fun with Night Rain. And maybe there's going to be surprises with Night Rain that will make it super fun. But the thing is, am I really going to play this game? Are you going to play this game? Because you need a Switch too for it. You know, it just seems like the hobby of video gaming is becoming more and more expensive, becoming more of a luxury thing. The Switch 2 is going to be $450. You know, you can get the PS5 for $450 with an Astrobot included. It is a bit odd because the PlayStation is more powerful. It's more powerful than the Switch. You can say you get more value from the Switch because you can also have it as a portable device, you know. But it seems like a little much. And then that's all before the tariff situation, because Idiot in Chief here, you know, introduced some tariffs, and which got Nintendo to put a pause in the pre-orders. Pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 will not start April 9th, in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and the evolving market conditions. Is it going to be like $100 more than this, maybe? Get yourself the bundle with Mario Kart for $600 once June comes around? I don't know. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're just getting it for the Duskbloods. How much is a Duskbloods going to cost, you know? If Nintendo's pricing their games at $80, $70, are they going to ask From Software to price their games pretty high too? Night Rain is going to be $40. You know, that's like, it seems like a similar type of game, a multiplayer focused game. You know, to Duskbloods, so you would imagine Duskbloods would be around $40, but I don't know. I'm gonna plead to all the wealthy gamers out there who are considering Nintendo Switch on launch date. Don't do it. Don't buy a Nintendo Switch. Wait. Make Nintendo think twice, 3 times, 4 times about their pricing. Maybe by the time the Duskbloods comes out, the pricing for the Switch would be more reasonable, and then I can get it. Please. Also, everyone who voted for Trump, you know, fuck you also. the ruling class, they're vampires. They're sucking us dry, and they're the ones to blame, really. So maybe we need to go vampire hunting. Maybe that's what we got to do instead of playing Duskbloods. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird period we're in, and maybe a new era from Software. But you got to remember, From Software used to be releasing like 4 games in a year, back in the day, and they only started slowing down like recently now, and now they're picking their pace back up, right? We got Sekiro 2019, we got Elden Ring, and then we got Armor Core 2023, then we got the DLC for Elden Ring in 2024, then we got Night Rain this year, the next year Duskbloods. And so I imagine in 2027 we're probably going to get like a single player focused game, maybe something like Sekiro, and then maybe 2028 we'll get that big old RPG or something. I guess the other thing that has me worried about this whole Duskbloods thing is that it's going to rely on the Nintendo Online system. Not only do we have to pay for Nintendo Online to play Duskbloods online, by the way, yeah, this is going to be a multiplayer game, right? I don't think there's going to be a single player element, although Night Rain is going to have a solo option, I think. So I wonder if they might introduce a solo option in Duskbloods. Maybe not. And the thing is that, yeah, so you have to also pay on top of the $500 or so for a Switch 2, maybe even more with the tariff situation. You have to pay for the Duskbloods, and you got to pay for Nintendo Online, which is I think $20 a year, so it's cheaper than PS Plus. It's still another thing, it's another thing you gotta do. Can we really trust Nintendo with the internet functions? People are gonna be playing on using Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's gonna have better Wi-Fi than Switch 2, but it's not. Wi-Fi isn't as good as a landline, and yeah, if we played in dock mode, you can connect an Ethernet port to it, which is how I would like to play it, ideally. But realistically, most people are going to be playing handheld, I imagine, because they have that option. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of latency issues with this game, which is more of an issue in this game because it has a PvP focus, as opposed to Night Rain, which is like co-op and doesn't really matter so much if you're out of sync a little bit. It's going to matter more if you're out of sync with a player when they're backstabbing you or beating you up. You hit them on your screen, but on their screen they don't get hit. That's going to be more of an issue. So that's really the biggest concern here. Besides the whole exclusivity, buy a whole new console for this game situation. We'll see. We're going to have to wait and see. But until then, there's Night Rain to hold us over. That's all I got to say. Until next time, I'll be here under the moonlight. Bye-bye. Get out of here.